All right, y'all. So now that the regular season's officially over, postseason's about to start. Play-in starts tonight, actually. So stuff's about to start. I wanted to show y'all what my votes would look like for NBA awards, NBA all NBA teams, all defense teams, all rookie teams, and everything. If I actually had a vote, obviously I don't. But if I did, this is what it would look like. So I want to make it clear that in a lot of these cases, these things that I'm picking between is literally just splitting hairs. Like, it's small stuff. It's not me hating on someone that if I didn't pick them. It's not me saying that you're dumb if you pick somebody that I didn't pick. For a lot of these, you're actually going to hear me say you could argue something that would persuade me in one way or the other. And my allergies are still bothering me. So, like, there might be some cuts or something in this video because, yeah, I don't need to be hearing me sniffle and sneeze the whole video. But, so yeah, no disrespect to any guys I didn't select. And, if you're a fan of one of these players, one of these teams, oops, like, you won't see any of my Raptors on here. So it's not anything about teams. It's just my personal votes. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with the biggest award, the MVP award. Now, this was a close battle all season. It wasn't between the same two guys for the whole season, but it was between a lot of guys for most of the season. SGA was in there. Joel was in there before he was hurt, and to me, Joel would have won it if he never got hurt. Obviously, Jokic, obviously, Luka, Giannis, Tatum. Like, these have all been guys that have been in the MVP race all season, and then recently Brunson's been jumping up a lot. Anthony Edwards has been in there. Kawhi was in there for a long time. So the MVP race has been one that's been pretty interesting, pretty tight all season. And at the end of the season, it became a two-man race between Luka and Jokic. And I'm going to tell you right now, bro, it took a long time for me to decide because it's like, this is one of those things where this channel's new, but I've been talking about basketball and loving basketball and like talking about it with the homies for years. And it's like I always try to be consistent because I hate that the NBA is so inconsistent, especially when it comes to like some of the criteria or stuff for these awards. Like, it feels like it's ever changing, especially for MVP. Like, sometimes it's best player, best team, sometimes it's not. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't personally like that it's when it goes to best player, best team automatically. Like, there are times where guys like Russell Westbrook should win it even though they were a lower seed. There were times where I felt Kobe should have won it even though he was a lower seed because his team was so bad. Like, and anyway, my MVP is Luka Doncic. This man, my argument here is really, it's simple, but it's not at the same time. It's kind of like, if you've heard me talk about MVP races before, then it's kind of simple. But basically, I believe that Luka had a more impactful season for his team. I believe Luka had the best season and impacted winning on his team while having the best season in the league this year. That's what I believe the MVP is. I believe it should be as good of a balance as possible, as not only contributing to team awards and team success and everything like that. Not only contributing to team success and wins and everything like that. But also, how was your season? How was your season by yourself? Like, how was your season individually? What did your season look like? And I personally believe this year that Luka had a better individual season and that Luka was the most valuable player in the league. Like, that's simple. That's what I believe. And I've never been one to argue that MVP award should go to best player, best team every year, because I believe, like, if that were the case, it would go to, if you wanted to go best player, best team, it would go with Jason Tatum. But then even if you want to say, oh, best player, best team in the West, then it would be between SGA and Jokic instead of Luka and Jokic. And SGA, for me, is a guy that I think is going to come in third to a lot of people. But for me, he's third. But for a lot of people, I can see them putting him second. I personally believe Luka's first. I know Jokic is going to win this award. This just kind of seems like what the media wants. So, and the media are the people that get in a lot of the votes. So it's just like, nothing I can do about that, but I personally would pick Luka. This man is averaging, for this season, he averaged 33.9, 9.8 assists, and 9.2 rebounds. That is essentially a 34-point triple-double. That is literally 2K numbers. Like, that is insane. A 34-point triple-double as an average for a season. And I do believe if he had gotten to the 34, 10, and 10, it probably would be more likely. Even then, I don't know if he would really win it. But, like, this man essentially averaged 34, 10, and 10. And keep in mind, defensively, his team was awful before, not like worse than the league, but they were bad. They were bad defensively before the trade deadline. And that's another part of this thing for me is, like, Luka got his team to 50 wins, right? Jokic's team got 57. 57 is obviously more than 50, but it's not so much more than 50 that you can say that I believe it's valid to say, Jokic had the worst season a little bit, but he still had a great season. His team was much better, right? And it's like, that's one of those things where because it's only a 7-win difference, and because the conference was so loaded, and because Jokic isn't the 1 seed. Sure, he tied with the Thunder, but he is not the 1 seed. He is the 2 seed officially. So it's like, I don't believe the gap between the 2 seed and the 5 seed, especially when the gap is only 7 wins, and especially when you consider the fact that Luka had 2 starters get traded. Like his team traded for 2 starters this mid-season before right at the deadline, and then he also had to integrate a new teammate in Kyrie because they only played like a very few games together last year. And then not a new teammate, but he did have to, like, there were questions about the Luka Kyrie duo and everything, right? So he had to deal with that. And then Luka also had to deal with 2 new, with a lot of trades and everything, and with a lot of injuries and everything, and with a lot of teammates he was playing with that were inconsistent. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. had an inconsistent season, right? So I believe Luka had to deal with more and still had a better season individually than Jokic did, which for me is why this award goes to Luka Doncic. And it's kind of how I felt about and I was only 3 when this happened, but like as I got older and I've done my research and gone back and looked, it's kind of how I feel about the 06 MVP when it went to Nash over Kobe. And to me, that should have been Kobe's award because Kobe was averaging 35, 5, and 4.5. He was the 7 seed. He had arguably the greatest scoring season ever, but they gave it to Steve Nash because he averaged 18.8 points and 10 assists on a team that was the 2 seed in the West. And really, they weren't even the 2 seed. This was back when winning your division, it would be the team with the most wins that also wins their division would be the 1 seed or something like that. So it was like, if you actually were to go by wins and were to put it in this current format, the Suns literally would have been the 3 seed and the Lakers would have been about the same seed, I think, or maybe 8 seed instead of 7. But like, bro, what I'm saying is I felt the same way about that MVP. I felt the same way about past MVPs. Like 2021, I was like, I didn't think it should have been Steph Curry's award, but I definitely thought Steph Curry should have gotten some more buzz because of it. Because, like, sure, his team was a low seed and everything and lost in the play-in and everything. But it's like, did you see what he was doing with the team? Like the scoring season he was having? Like, that's kind of how I feel about stuff like this. It's like, and this is a year where I especially feel this way because it's like, okay, the 2 seed and the 7 seed's a big difference, like in the Nash Kobe thing, or when Jokic won it in 2021, I think he was like the 4 seed or something like that. And his team had a lot of injuries, and Curry's team had a lot of injuries too, and Clay was out and everything, but Curry was in the play-in and Jokic wasn't, so it was like I understood that too. This is different, bro. It's a 2 seed versus the 5 seed, and it's a 7-win gap. It is 57 wins to 50. That is not a big gap. Like it's a big gap when it comes to like playoff seeding and stuff. But when it comes to MVP talks, when you're looking at who had the better season, bro, that's not that big of a gap for me. And I just spent 8 minutes talking about MVP alone. So yeah, for me, it's Luka. I believe Jokic will win, but for me, it's Luka. Now the rest of these are going to be a lot shorter than this, but this will be a little bit of a longer video. So if you haven't already, grab whatever you get to relax, because we probably got 20 more minutes in this video because I be yapping. All right. Let's move to Defensive Player of the Year. I'm giving the award to Rudy Gobert, but this one was tough too. I will not hold you. This one was tough because it's like, I genuinely believe Victor Wembanyama might be the best defensive player in basketball. Like, thinking on it off the top of my head, I think he is the best defensive player in basketball, which is insane because when I look at his game, I still see a lot of room for growth, even defensively. But Rudy Gobert, he has been the anchor of what has been by far the best defensive team in the NBA all season. I think that's why he's going to win this award. Also, keep in mind his team, not only a great defensive team, but they are also the 3 seed out west in a very, very loaded Western Conference, whereas the Spurs literally won 22 games. And that's actually the reason I'm not giving this award to Wemby. And spoiler alert, this is the same reason I didn't have him on an All-NBA team, is because it's tough for me to justify putting him over some other guys when he literally added 0 wins technically. Like, I'm not saying that was his fault, but I'm saying technically he added 0 wins to the Spurs from last season. They had 22 wins this year, 22 wins last year. It's hard for me to, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to give him awards, to give him All-NBA nods and everything over some other players when he technically added no wins to his team, even though we all know his team is much better because of him. We know that he is a phenomenal player that has lived up and to me even exceeded the hype that he's had. So it's like, that's a great and everything. Lived up to and even exceeded the hype he's had. So, if you say Wemby is the DPOY, I'm not mad at you because their defensive rating is literally, I think, last in the league when he's off the court, and then it's top 5 when he's on the court, which is insane. And then when you look at the Timberwolves, it's like it doesn't even change really when Rudy Gobert is on and off because they have such a great roster and they have so many lengthy defensive guys that just have so many defensive oriented guys. That, like, I understand. I know that I think Wemby is a more impactful defender, right? But I think this is going to be an award. This is historically been an award where you got to be a top something defense, and you also have to be a good team, like a playoff team, like not even just a playoff team, like a good playoff team. And the Spurs simply aren't that. I don't believe Wemby's going to get it. Wemby's also a rookie, which is another thing that's hurting him. Voters aren't going to be quick to just want to give it to a rookie. Okay, let's move on to Rookie of the Year. It's Victor Wembanyama. Let's keep on going. Let's go to Sixth Man of the Year. So a few weeks ago, I talked about how it was like Naz Reid and it was Malik Monk for Sixth Man of the Year, and there were some other guys in here that I thought about, like I think it's Bogdanovich on the Hawks. I think it's Bogdan, or is it Bojan? I think that's Bogdan, but he's a great six man and everything like that. Like there are some other great six men. Russell Westbrook's been a great six man for the Clippers and everything like that. But I'm giving this to Naz Reid. I'm flipping my vote from Malik Monk to Naz Reid, and that's really not even Malik Monk's fault. It's just the fact that he kind of got injured. I believe if he didn't get injured, I probably wouldn't have changed my vote. But then it was like he got injured, and then I was also looking at the numbers, really, really looking at them. And I was like, if he never got injured, probably Malik Monk. But since he did get injured, and since Naz Reid was so impactful while the Wolves were missing Cat, it's kind of tough for me to give it to Malik Monk. So I'm giving it to Naz Reid, but I think this is another one of those that's a toss-up. Like, this isn't like the Rookie of the Year where they're like, no. Like, this is a toss-up for me. And for me, a big part of this is the fact that Reid was filling in for the second-best player on his team while Cat was hurt, whether he was starting in some games or still coming off the bench. Like, he was essentially filling in that role. And he has a plus-minus of plus 280, which means that his team is very good when he's on the court. And then when it was Malik Monk, I think the Kings had like a plus rating of, a plus-minus of plus 10 or something like that. So it's not like Reid's impact has been bigger. I also believe he's had a bigger role on a better team. Well, I don't know about bigger role, but he's had a similarly sized role on a team that is better, a team that was competing for the 1 seed or a top seed out west all year and ended up as a 3 seed, whereas the Kings are the 9 seed currently and are probably going to lose tonight to Golden State. And that is because of injuries and everything like that. I get that, but it's like even then, the Kings were, while they were out of the play-in for most of the season, they were never a team that was competing for like the top seed, where the Timberwolves have been up there the whole season pretty much. So that's why I'm gonna give the nod to Naz Reid here. Let's go ahead and go to Coach Player of the Year. I'm gonna take Steph Curry here. My vote isn't switching. There were actually a lot of people. Like originally, I was thinking like this was really between Steph and DeMar, but it was like then I started looking at SGA, I started looking at Bron, I started looking at Kyrie, I started looking at Jokic, and I was like, well, damn. Like, it was a lot of people that could have made it. I'm going to give it to Steph. He's literally first in, like, almost every major category. Like, first in threes made in the clutch, first in points scored. He's literally shooting, I think, 50% from the field and 46% from three in the clutch. Like, it is literally insane what he's doing in the clutch. I'm going to give it to I'm going to give it to Steph. To me, I don't know what my top three would be here. It'd probably be Steph, DeRozan, and then Jokic, probably something like that. But there are a lot of guys, like I said, that are I'm so sorry, allergies. But there are a lot of guys that are like in that range. There are a lot of guys that are in that conversation. But I'm gonna give it to Steph, especially because Steph is a guy that does not have an all-star teammate. It's like him and DeMar. They don't have all-star teammates. And DeMar, he does have Zach LaVine, who isn't an all-star, but he has been an all-star. But it's like Zach LaVine was out most of the year, so like. And even when he had him, it wasn't like they were doing great. Like, the Bulls didn't look any better when they had him or anything. Like, he dropped 50 against the Pistons, and they still lost. So, like, it was really between him and DeMar for the most part, but I'm giving this to Steph. And the fact that he doesn't have an all-star teammate where guys like Jokic, even though Jamal Murray's not an all-star, I don't care. He's an all-star caliber player. And LeBron has AD and everything like that, where Steph doesn't. So I feel like his clutch, it does matter just a little bit more when you don't have another guy that can take some of that pressure off. So let's go ahead and move on to Most Improved Player. This, to me, goes to Tyrese Maxey. It stays with him. He was the best player on a team that lost the player who was literally going to be the MVP had Joel Embiid not got hurt. And I understand that the Sixers did topple in the standings and everything like that. But that was to be expected. You literally lost a guy that was about to win a back-to-back MVP. Like, what? His counting stats went up and everything like that. I love that this is a year where it's not an all-star player going to a superstar player like it was with like the John Morant year and everything like that. Like he was picked second overall. Like we expected him to be great. You know what I'm saying? Even if you didn't expect him to be this great, like the expectations were that he would do something in the league, right? So it's like I like it when it's a guy like Tyrese Maxey, even if it does go to a guy like Kobe White. I'm not mad at it because I prefer that. Much prefer that actually to a guy like Ja, where it's like, well, we knew he was going to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that it went to Lauri Markkanen last year because nobody expected that. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't expect for him to have that breakout season, but he did. And I feel the same way about Tyrese. We did expect this a little more based off of what he was doing last year, but off his draft and everything like that, you would have never predicted that 5 years in his career he would be this good, or I wouldn't have at least. So yeah, I'm giving this to Tyrese Maxey. Respect to Kobe White though; he did put up a very good fight for this award. I'm going to give it to a player that had a bigger role on a better team. And sure, his 3-point efficiency and stuff like that dipped, but his numbers went up across the board for the most part, while his turnovers went down and everything. So, I'm pretty sure his turnovers went down. If I'm wrong on that, oops. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure that his turnovers went down and all the rest of his numbers went up. I'm pretty sure his assist percentage went up while his turnover percentage went down. Like, that's insane. Like, that's really good for him, especially as when with Embiid going down, you would think, oh, that might get a little worse because he's doing more of that primary ball handling, primary starting up the offense. But he's been good. He's been great. So I'm proud of him. That's who 6 man of the year is from. I'm sorry, most improved player is for me. Coach of the year, this has been an interesting one too because I gave a lot of consideration to Chris Finch. I gave consideration to Jamal Mosley. I gave consideration to Ime Udoka, low-key. I gave consideration to Joe Mazzulla. But eventually I came out and I'm giving this to Mark Daigneault, head coach of the OKC Thunder. My runner-up here, probably Jamal Mosley of the Magic. And then third, I'd probably say Joe Mazzulla maybe. Or Chris Finch, whichever one you want to do. But I'd probably say, Chris Finch did figure out that double big line. I don't know. The winner is Mark Daigneault for me, though. And I was really impressed with what he did. And he did it. The thing that put him over Jamal Mosley for me was he secured the 1 seed while only having one above all-star caliber player on his team in the loaded Western Conference. Like he didn't just secure the 1 seed against a bunch of bombs. Like he secured the 1 seed against the most loaded conference that I maybe have ever seen. Like this was like talent-wise, player-wise, individually-wise. Like that's why I thought they were gonna win the All-Star game so easily. It's just because look at the roster of the West. Like, look at who's in the West. So yeah, to me, it's Mark Daigneault. They literally got the 1 seed. SGA is an MVP candidate for a reason, and it would feel insane for me. To me, if OKC got no awards, which to me is why they're getting Coach of the Year, because SGA is not going to win MVP. To me, I don't think he is at least. He'll be top 3, but I don't think he'll win. I really honestly think Jokic is going to win, even though I want Luka to win, and I think Luka should win. It's a toss-up really between those guys, but anyway, I don't see Shea winning, so I do believe Mark Daigneault will win here because it's kind of like insane if they don't get any awards, and also Mark Daigneault deserves it. Like, J-Dub's had a great season, SGA's had an MVP caliber season, they literally are the 1 seed as the 3rd youngest team in the NBA, I think. Like, they're even younger than the Magic are. Like, it's insane. Like, I'm pretty sure the only teams younger than them are, like, the Spurs and I don't know. The Spurs and somebody else I'm pretty sure are younger than them, but they're a very young team. So that is all the awards, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anything. So let's go on to all NBA teams and then all rookie teams. Or it's going to be all 3. It's going to be all NBA, all rookie, all defensive teams. You're going to hear all my picks. It'll be pretty quick though. Okay, all NBA first team. Luka, Jokic, Tatum, Giannis, SGA. Those 5. And I know it's positionless this year. It goes in order of MVP voting. So it would be in my order. It would be Luka. If I had a vote, it would be Luka, Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Tatum. It would be that. And then yeah, I think this is pretty simple. Most people have these 5 guys or some maybe 4 of the 5 as their all NBA first team guys. It's pretty simple. These have been the guys we've known for a while. All NBA second team, I'm gonna go with Brunson, AD, Ant, KD, and Kawhi. And I really thought about putting Bron up here instead of Kawhi. And honestly, I thought about putting Brunson on first team over Tatum because I think his MVP case has shot up a lot over the last few weeks. Especially in my mind, when I actually started thinking about it, and Tom Thibodeau I also thought about for Coach of the Year because the things that the Knicks did this year, securing the 2 seed, with all the injuries they dealt with, they were written off. They literally finished as the 2 seed over the Bucks. The Bucks had Dame and Giannis. Nobody expected that. If you said you expected that, you got to be a Knicks fan or something, or you're lying because that is insane. So I'm gonna go with Brunson, AD, Ant, KD, and Kawhi. This is interesting because, like I said, you could persuade Brunson over Tatum for me, and you could persuade Bron over Kawhi. I gave it to Kawhi because he was so consistent. He didn't get injured a lot, and I'm not saying Bron did. I'm just saying that this was like newer. Like this was first year coming off load management. People did have questions about would Kawhi make that 65 game threshold. He did, and I'm proud of him for doing so. He's a little hurt right now. He's a little banged up right now. Praying he'll be all right for the playoffs and everything. Because they got the Mavs, they're gonna need him to be all right if they want to have any chance to win. But he played the vast majority of the games this year. The Clippers look like one of those best teams in the West. Like, literally, they look like one of the top two teams in the West for a long time once they really figured out how to integrate James Harden after those, like, first 5 or 6 games. And when they were hot, Kawhi was a big reason for that. He was really in the MVP case then. While the Lakers really haven't been outside the play-in all year, and while LeBron and AD have both had phenomenal seasons, I don't know if I can really, like, I personally, in my mind, when I was thinking about this, I couldn't justify putting Bron over Kawhi, but if you have a better argument than what I was having in my mind for him, then I'll listen to you, because I'd honestly be okay. No, I don't think you can have both Lakers up here, because having both Lakers up here when they are literally the 8 seed is a little crazy. I'm not saying up here on all NBA teams. I'm saying up here this high. Like both of them on second team is a little crazy. So I think it does have to be one of the two. And I'm gonna give it to AD this year. He averaged like 25 and 12. He was very healthy. He played like 70 something games this year. I'm pretty sure. Like he was very healthy. Was very consistent. Well, he had a very good year. He had a very good defensive year, very good offensive year. I think AD had a very good season this year. So I'm putting him on second team. I'm putting Kawhi up there with him. I'm putting Bron on third team. Just a spoiler. So on All NBA third team, I have Bron, Steph, D-Book, PG, and Jaylen Brown. And let me just tell you, I did have a lot of, like, honorable mentions. I debated Victor Wembanyama, as I said, but it's kind of like he's a rookie, and then he also didn't lead to more team success, technically, if you look at the record, so I couldn't give it to him. Tyrese Halliburton, but he hasn't been good since his injury. Like, he hasn't looked the same. His shot hasn't looked the same, so I couldn't give it to him, but I'm not mad if you put him over Jaylen Brown. De'Aaron Fox, Zion Williamson, it's a bonus. I wouldn't really be mad if you put any of them up there over Jaylen Brown, or someone else like Jaylen Brown, or maybe PG or something. I don't know, because, like, I think LeBron and Steph are locks for All NBA, and some of these other guys you could debate, but I'm not going to give it to Zion just because I don't know. I just personally liked putting Jaylen Brown over it. Like, I felt like putting Jaylen Brown up there with him being the second best player on the team that dominated in the regular season all year, that felt okay. Like, that's the same reason that I kept Jason Tatum in there over Jalen Brunson, because even though I do believe Jalen Brunson had a better season, had a more impressive season, he's the best player on the team that was the most dominant in the NBA all year. So I have to, you know what I'm saying? I gave him that little nod, and I gave the same thing to Jaylen Brown, even though his counting stats weren't great. Like, if you actually watched, you saw Jaylen Brown had a very good year. I'm not saying he deserved to be the highest paid player in the history of the NBA, but he had a very good year. So I believe that's my all NBA teams. And like I said, there are a lot of guys I talked about. So if you have other guys that you wanted to, or you have other arguments or something, let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter. Like, I want to hear what y'all say. I'm with the discourse. You know what I'm saying? I'm with all that debate. So let's go ahead and go to all defense. So all defensive first team. These are gonna go by quick. Wemby, Gobert, Bam, Herb Jones, Derek White. And I really did think about putting Caruso in here over Derek White, but I didn't. I did lean against it, and I think most of these guys are pretty easy. Gobert is the DPOY. Wemby's going to be my second, and then Bam's would be my third. Like, Bam has had a great defensive season, and then I believe Herb Jones is probably the best perimeter defender in the league, and then Derek White and Alex Caruso are right there behind him. I personally gave it to Derek White, mostly because of team success as well. It's one of those things where he's a starter. He is the best defender on the best team in the league, and it's not the best defense, but it's a top defense. Like, it's a very good defense. Like, it's a great defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like the Celtics are just a bad defensive team. Like, no, he's been a great defender on a great defensive team, and they're not as good as, like, the Timberwolves or anything defensively, and he's not as good of a defender to me as a Herb Jones. Not quite as good. They're on the same tier to me, though, and he doesn't have the defensive impact of a guy like Wemby or something, but I did put him in there over Alex Caruso. A lot of that was team success, but a lot of that is also, I do believe, I don't know. It's really a toss-up for me, but I would take Derek White over Alex Caruso, just like in general, so that's another part of the reason. Defensively, I'm not looking at offense for all defensive teams, like, obviously, but offensively, I'd take him too, anyway. And then all defensive second team. So here, it was a lot, I'm not going to lie, because there was a lot of people I really, really wanted to include. Um, my all defensive second team: Jared Allen, who had a very good defensive season. He was in the running for DPOY for a while. Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, KCP, Jalen Suggs. Um, I wanted to put OG in here. He didn't play enough games. I thought about Chet and SGA over Lou Dort because I felt like I definitely had to have a Thunder guy in here somewhere. And SGA has like an insane number. He like leads the leagues in steals and deflections, and he also has like a really good like stock stat. Chet, I just thought about him because of his rim protection. He's a very good defender. He is their best rim protecting big man. I ultimately did go with Lou Dort. I believe he's by far the best defensive player on this team right now. I believe when I watch them, I believe his defense jumps off the screen to me more than Shea's does, and I think a lot of Shea's defense is due to his length, which helps him be so good. But Shea is a very good defender. Don't get me wrong. Don't take that as I'm trying to disrespect him. I had a tough time choosing between these three guys. But I did end up giving it to Lou Dort, and I do believe Lou Dort has been not only the best defender, but the most consistent defender on that team, always taking the toughest assignment defensively when it's a wing or a forward, like, you know, when it's a guard or a wing, I mean, and that always has to give some respect. Like, if you are the best defender and you're taking the best assignment every night, I'm going to give that to you, and where Shea's not doing that like he is, which you can't expect him to. Shea's averaging 31 points a game. Like, obviously, he's not going to be doing all that defensively like Lou Dort is. That's why you have guys like Lou Dort on your team. And then last but not least, this is going to be a really quick one, get this video out to y'all. All rookie teams. I'm going to just go over these. I'm not going to give too much argument because, like, I don't think there's too much argument needed, but I will give you some people that I thought about. One person that I thought about that did not make it, Gigi Jackson. And I really don't know. Like, I could put him in here over some guys that are on the second team, but Gigi Jackson didn't make it, and I'd love to hear what y'all think about that because do y'all believe he deserved to? I definitely believe he deserves to. I just left him out, but I could definitely give some arguments for it. And I also wasn't watching a lot of Memphis. So it's like hard for me to put him in here over some of these guys that I was watching more. But first team, Brandon Pajemski, Wemby, Chet, Brandon Miller, and Jaime Jaquez. Now, for me, 4 of those 5 guys are locks. It is everyone except for Brandon Pajemski, I think, is a lock. If you want to put one of the Thompson twins in here or Casey Wallace or something over him, I'm not mad at you. I just wouldn't do it personally. So let's just go on to the second team. I have both Thompsons, a Min and a Sar. I have Derek Lively. Rest in peace to his mom, bro. I'm praying for you and your family. I have no idea what that feels like, and I pray I never know. So, yeah, I'm just praying for you and your family, dog. Like, can't imagine what you're going through. So prayers up to Derek Lively. Hope him and his family's doing all right. Rest in peace to his mom, like I said. Keontae George, Casey Wallace. Those are my guys for all rookie second team. And that's really it, man. I would love to hear if y'all have any questions or any suggestions or any arguments for people that I left off or people that I did tell you that I thought about including but then didn't include. I'd love to hear how y'all feel about this thing and everything like that. And yeah, I just love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, long video today, but I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. And yeah, stay blessed, stay praying. Love y'all.